I'm Salina Brilla, and this is DIY Live, Huntsville Alabama's YouTube channel dedicated to capturing the underground. And we are live here at Fred Shop today with Alex Story of Cancerslug.
That's me.
That's you. How you doing, Alex?
I'm doing wonderful.
Great.
Awesome.
Thank you for coming here and doing this interview with us.
You're welcome. Thank you for asking me to come here and do this interview with you.
Well, hey, I don't think you get much more underground culture in Huntsville, Alabama than having your very own.
I'm as underground as you get. I'm like down there with the dirt and shit. So yeah.
Right on.
Sewage, that kind of thing, scum.
Well, I want to hear the whole story of Cancerslug.
Oh,
like how it started in 1999.
Yeah, ish. Yeah, like I mean, the idea was floating around. Like I was bouncing around a lot. Like at the time, like I think I was just homeless. Like I was staying in Arizona, and I grew up here, so I was coming back here, and I'd already hit up a couple of people I knew that played. Like just to say like, you know, I want to do this band, and you know, I need some guys. And I had this drummer that I'd played with before, and I had the songs for the first album ready, and was going to knock those out. And at the time, we wouldn't, and me and my buddy Craig and this guy, and
nice.
and my friend Shane, like we went in to knock out the demo. And it's funny because they didn't even know like what the song sounded like or anything. We just kind of like went in and knocked it out. They never heard me sing or nothing. Like I always played guitar in other bands before that. It's like mostly a guitarist, and just had this wild hair to do this, but we didn't have a name or nothing. Like I think we called the band Goat Whore at first, but then I found out that Sammy from Acid Bath had just started a band called Goat Whore at the time, and I was like, fuck! So I had to fucking come up with another name, and so like which is funny. I just told him that the other day, like he thought it was funny, but yeah, like I had a car at the time. It was this old Chevy Nova, and it was a piece of shit, and like when you drive, like it leaked every fluid there was, like gas, like fucking oil, like fucking, and all this like purple shit would come out the back and stuff, and so it was just like leave this trail of death behind it. So I called the car the Cancerslug because it was like this trail of just cancer behind it. Like that anybody that drove behind me would be like, oh god, I'm dying. So it's like I had written on the back of the car Cancerslug, and so like since couldn't call it Goat Whore, I was like, we call it Cancerslug. And
Nice.
I'm trying to think of something that wasn't taken, like, because it's like the early days of the internet back then, you know, and so you come up with a band name and you like you know, Google it, and like then like something would come and you're like, fuck, so it's like you had to come up with the stupidest sounding shit you could come up with to make sure nobody had it, and like so I was like, yeah, ain't nobody calling their shit Cancerslug, we'll do that.
Right, and then you get your slug cult out of it.
And yeah.
All of that kind of stuff.
And like. I don't know. It's like it just kind of. We were lucky because it was the early days of like Napster and shit when everybody was file sharing, and it was right when like Metallica was doing all that horse shit where it was like suing Napster and shit.
Right.
It was like right when it was in court. So like all the stuff they didn't know how it was going to go. Like everybody didn't know if it was going to get sued or what. So Napster pulled all the stuff that was on labels and shit. So the only things at the time that were on Napster were like independents. And you would put like, you know, say like, so we had like the first Cancerslug album, like horror, and like you put like Cancerslug, and then you put like in parentheses on every song, like if you like it'd be like Black Flag, blah blah blah, like Misfits, you know, all this shit, Dwarves and shit, and you just string it out forever. And then like so somebody would look up like Black Flag or Misfits or Dwarves, something, and they wouldn't get that because it was all taken down, so they would just get like Cancerslug. And so like all of a sudden, like overnight, like fucking horror was just like fucking everywhere. It was like just massive, like it was all over the fucking world. We were getting like fucking emails from people just like, oh, this shit's fucking awesome, this fucking, and like even like people that are in like big bands and shit were like messages being like fucking, oh shit, this shit's fucking like great. And we actually got like label offers and shit early on, but back then it's like I was such a fucking like just like funky punk as fuck. I was like, fuck a label, fuck a label. Now fucking I'm a broke ass bitch, and I should have been like, fuck, give me that fucking nanny. But you know, you're young, you don't give a fuck. You just whatever, you know, fucking. You go back in time, whoop my ass, but you know, it all worked out because now labels suck. And you can make more money as an independent than you can make on a label. Like, so it's like, ended up working out for us.
Good. So that's the first record. As we were saying, you guys have like 20 records.
Oh yeah, well, I don't even know how many we got. Cause we started out, we would just do these like demos and we would like shoot them out, whatever. So like I said, the first album like really blew the fuck up. Like back then it was like, it was even like pre-MySpace and shit. It was like fucking like mp3.com and bullshit, like fucking, but it was just like fucking like massive. And like, so they were just like hot for us to do anything else. And like I grew up on like, you know, old punk and metal and thrash and stuff that was like just shitty recordings anyway and stuff. And this is like the time like, you know, 90s, like back with like, you know, all the black metal guys were kind of doing like the real shitty recordings, you know, like using like fucking headphones for mics and shit and stuff. So I mean, I was into that too, and like fucking, so we were just like fucking around and making raw, you know, shit and throwing it out there, and people would just start bitching about like, oh, this is like the recording quality, blah, blah, blah. And that my nature is like, because I get angry easy and I like to piss people off. So I went to make the worst recorded album in the history of man. And so like we did this album where we would like the old PC, like we'd use like the speakers on that like to play across the room and have like a tape player, like we'd go kind of like across the room and play, and we just go back and forth like putting each track on it, and just made this just horrible sounding fucking noise called Midnight Injection Sessions, and we were hoping it would just like piss everybody off, and it did, and like and then ever since then we've always bounced back and forth. We'll do like a studio album where we actually go in and do a proper studio. Because some people, it's like they can only, if it's, like some people can't tell the difference between like recording quality and like quality of a band or a performance or something. So it's like, so you do the studio album for the fucking nerds and shit, and then you do the, like the fun stuff, like at home where you can really experiment and shit too. So we always bounce back and forth with those, you know, like some people like the raw stuff more, some people like the other stuff more. Some people like it both, I don't know. Some people don't like none of it, which I don't blame them.
So let's talk about live shows. So you guys put on it. I mean, I've seen you live a whole bunch of times. In fact, one of the first times I saw you live, well, I just bought a PA system and the whole thing almost hit the ground, and two of us ended up pulling it up all night. What I remember most of that was like as soon as you guys got, you know, the carpet, copper top, the whole like room rushed up to the front, and there's this fantastic energy like when that happens. So what is your favorite part about live shows?
I mean, it's like we got a good following and stuff. It's like I ain't no big Grateful Dead fan or nothing, but I heard Jerry Garcia say something cool one time. He was talking about the Grateful Dead. And he was like, Grateful Dead is like buttermilk. He's like, most people hate buttermilk, but the people that like it like really like buttermilk. He's like, that's how Cancerslug is too. It's like fucking like most people just, it wouldn't be their thing if they heard it. They'd be like, oh fuck this, but there's no in between. There's no like, oh, that's all right. It's like the people that like it, like fucking love it. Like they're fucking like all about it. And so like they get really excited. And like I've always been about the live show anyway. I mean, it's like I always said, like, you know, if it doesn't matter if there's, you know, 2 people there or 2,000 people there, those 2 people paid the same as, you know, it ain't their fault nobody else came. They came. So you got to put on the same fucking show for them that you put on for fucking anybody else. So, you know.
And you were so right about that. Like, I was waiting tables one day, and you guys had a show that night, and I had people from North Dakota.
Yeah.
And I was like, you guys look like Cancerslug fans. And they were like, we are. We came all the way here to come and see you play today. And I was like, you really have a serious following. People come to Huntsville, Alabama from all over the world to come and see you.
Yeah. We wrote a song about the Dead Children's Playground, and they'll make a mecca to make sure that they go there, you know, and Mike always worked at Bandito and stuff, so everybody would go to Bandito to eat. It's like they have a little thing. We have people come from Europe. We got a show coming up on the 29th at Sidetrack. It's just the first time we played in like 2 years. It'll be the first like Huntsville show since Mike passed and everything. It's like the first show with Jade, our new drummer. It's like it should be a decent thing. But like we got I know there's somebody coming from Alaska. There's it's like it should be a good thing.
It should be a great thing. And playing with Goddamn Gallows, I'm excited to get to see both of you guys play together.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
It's going to be fun. Yes. Now, so your first album came out in 1999, and then you had one lineup, and your lineups have changed several times.
Yeah, we never until it got to be like me, Mike, and Cassie. We never really had just like a permanent fixed kind of thing. Like there was even times when I had like we would joke around like Cancerslug A and Cancerslug B because I'd have like 2 lineups at the same time, and just depending on who could do what, we would, you know, it's like, because it was just always like I said, I spent most of life homeless and bouncing around. This is just what I do. I just do this and fucking so you know some of these guys got real jobs and shit, you know, like they're just like fucking help me out. I always use just friends, you know, so it's just like my friends will have fun with fun to go on the road or fun to you know whatever. And we even joked about I used to say I was going to start the first rock and roll franchise where I would have like a Cancerslug in each town, and I show up and be like, let's go, and I fucking sing with them and fucking go to the next one and fucking have my little franchise bands all around.
That would be really cool.
But
yeah, you never see the same band twice.
Yeah. I mean, it's like fucking, but it's worked out. Like once Mike got in the band, you know, to me and Mike have been friends forever and shit, and like we've been wanting to jam together and just never had this. We were talking about starting a different band. And then at the time, that lineup was kind of shaky, and it ended up just he floated into Cancerslug. It was the perfect fit because he's like the embodiment of Cancerslug. And then like from there, it was just like fucking like me, him, and Cassie became just like. You know, we had several guitars that would come in and out, or sometimes we'd do the 3-piece with just us.
Right.
But from then on, it's just been that lineup. And then, like, you know, after he passed, it took us a while to find a drummer. And, you know.
Well, I think you made an amazing choice.
Oh, yeah.
Jade is awesome.
She's great. She's awesome.
She is a great drummer. You definitely made a great choice. And like saying like Mike being the embodiment of Cancerslug, I don't think I ever saw him once in a shirt that wasn't a Cancerslug.
Yeah, he
loved that band.
Yeah, it's
he lived it and he loved it. Definitely.
It's like I remember the first show we ever did with Mike, and like you know, he'd not been jamming with me very long. We just had got together and he learned some songs and stuff, and I was like, well, fuck, they're asking us to do this show up in Augusta, I think. Well, yeah, it was Augusta, Georgia, and it was like we were playing with some like bigger bands. It was like more known, but it was funny because we played there a bunch. We had like a little bit of following, and so we go, and it was like everybody was there to see us. It was fucking like, you know, it was just packed. It was like we thought it was all like, oh, we pull up in the place packed. So we're like, you know, because we're playing these like bigger bands. But it's funny that after we finished playing, they all just left. Like so, it was like there was like us and like 10 people watching these bands. I was like, but like yeah, me and Mike's up there, and like I remember we're sick and we're like fucking like because it's winter and stuff, and so we're like backstage just like pounding Jack Daniels and doing rails and shit. And like we're like fuck, and then we get out there, you know, you get the energy and everything, but like the crowd, and I remember like there's like I remember there was a dude I think that had like one leg or something that comes up and stage dives and stuff. And Mike's just like I remember in the middle of the show he's like grabbing me, he's like this is my band. He's like, don't you ever fucking replace me. Because it was always said that I replace them. I really don't replace people. People just have shit and fucking, you know, it works out. Whoever can do it, can do it. It's like I'm still friends with pretty much everybody who's ever in the band. Like we're all good friends and stuff. People come in, come out. Like people have played with me before, and then they play with, you know, it's like when you have somebody that can do it, you know. Right. But.
And let's talk about Doyle for a second. How do you tour with Doyle? You were in a band with Doyle. You guys wrote an album together. Yeah. How did that come about?
Just like I was always a fan. Like I like Misfits being one of my favorite bands. You know, I had like and Doyle was always one of my favorites because I used to have like back then, like in the old days, you know, pre-internet. Because I'm ancient. I'm like you know, like Methuselah. But back in my day, you know, you had to have these magazines and shit. They were like pieces of paper with pictures and words, and that's how you found out shit because you didn't have the fucking internet. But and punk rock was even harder to find out about. You know, you had like maybe like Maximum Rock and Roll or a couple things like local zines and stuff like that. But I mean, the Misfits were like a mystery. Like you saw the skull like in like skate magazines and shit and stuff, but you never saw pictures of them and shit. And even when like later when like Danzig kind of started doing this big MTV stuff and shit. Even at that point, he didn't look or sound the same as he did back then. So it's like, it was just this mystery. You didn't know about the mystery. And the only picture I had was this big-ass poster for Beware, and Doyle's in the middle, and he just looks evil as shit with this fucking thing. So I always liked him anyway. And you would have to go to, like, Atlanta or Nashville somewhere and find these bootlegs that cost, like, way too much money. And, like, these shitty VHS tapes that were, like, 20th generation, you know, of a show. And, like, every show, Doyle would, like, El Kabong somebody with his fucking guitar or something, or just like fuck somebody up. And the funny thing, he's like 17 years old, but he's like looks like a grown ass fucking man, like looks the same as he does now. He's like fucking huge, and so you're like, God, this grown man is just like fucking these kids up and shit. Like, but like, I mean, he's a kid too, but like, it's like, but I loved him. And then like, there was this one interview, like, cause he never talked or nothing. And there was this one interview with Maximum Rock and Roll. RuPaul's on the front of it. It was cool because RuPaul used to be fucking, it was like interviewing the Earth AD lineup, and everybody's just talking on punk rock bullshit. When he gets to Doyle, he's like, I don't give a fuck. He's like, fucking, I don't know how to play guitar. He's like, I'm not a guitar, I'm not a musician. I don't give a fuck. He's like, I want it to sound like a chainsaw. I want it to sound like it's cutting through the fucking audience so they know I hate them. And I was like, that's my boy right there. That's my fucking dog. I was like, yes. And I just was a fan right then. And then, like, I remember in the 90s, they did this stupid shit where they tried to do, like, the Misfits without Danzig, which is just impossible. And they knew it was impossible, but they were just like, whatever, you know, fucking Ron Geffen, you know. But, like, anyway, you know, I thought it was stupid, but, like, I was like, well, fuck, you know, there's these two guys who used to be in the Misfits, so I'll go watch them play. And fucking, I'll go see these two guys play the song, because I love those fucking songs. Yeah. So I go, and it was like their first time out, and it was like, like, Cannibal Corpse, fucking Anthrax, Misfits, and like, it's funny because the crowd was just angry at me because they were doing the Misfits without Glenn, so it was like fucking hilarious. And like, I think like Scotty Ian got a fucking beer bottle in his head, and they only, like, Anthrax quit after like one song or something, and it was just like fucking like just hostile as fuck. But right as soon as they start, like, they're just fucking people up. And I see Doyle like pick this dude up by the back of the head like Darth Vader or something, and every time he's fucking hitting him, like blood splashing on his chest. And like fucking, and you know how when you see somebody getting their ass whooped by like somebody you like, it's like you're like, oh fuck that motherfucker up. No, it's like it was past that point, like, oh shit, you're gonna kill him, you're gonna go to prison, dude. You stop. And like fucking, like, cause he was just like fucking him up, you throw him down, just stomp his head and shit. And like these giant security guys come and they're like pulling this guy up, and then it's like he turns around, like takes the guitar off, he looks, it's like this most evil look I've ever seen anybody have. And he just like moves these big guys out of the way by their faces, grabs the guy by his face and throws him back on the stage and starts stomping his head again. And I was like, Jesus Christ. And like they pull him out, like fucking take him off. And right then I was like, I'm gonna do a band with that guy. Like I was like, I'm gonna fucking like, and then
that's
like,
the guy, right?
yeah, I just knew it. I knew it right then. I don't know. I used to tell people, I was like, I'm gonna do a fucking band with Doyle. Which is funny. So even before that, like I remember when we had the Earth and Dean had the pictures. I remember us talking about like going up to Jersey and finding Doyle and starting a band. Like so it's like I've always like had this thing. Like I just knew. And then like they did a couple albums with that, and of course it didn't work because you can't do the business without dancing. And then like
I say that because I'm with you.
and then it's like I saw that he was trying to start his own band because he quit. He quit and like fucking. I was like that's me. And fucking I knew it right then. And fucking and like you know he had all these people with names and fucking like all these you know credits and shit. But like I'd sent a CD and he said it was the only one he could listen to the whole fucking thing. And I sent like 100 songs on it too. And he said he sat there and just like listened to the whole fucking thing. He was just like that was fucking awesome. And then like I've seen another address. So I sent one to fucking like LA and this dude Blasco. Like he fucking got it and he picked me too out of everybody. And he sent me to Doyle and Doyle's like this thing I picked. And so like we started. And then at first we didn't work out because like me and him got along, but like at the time like his old lady was kind of trying to put it together into something weird, and like and they did this like gorgeous Frankenstein thing or something. It was kind of like he was embarrassed of it. He was like, oh, this is terrible. Like, but like and it was, but like I bowed out. I was like, but then he hit me up because we really got along good. And we became really good friends. And like, he just asked me to help him write because the people he was working with, like this dude she had singing and stuff was like just terrible. And like, he's like, oh, I try to write with him. This shit sucks. And fucking, so I was writing songs for them to do. And then they had this big fuck off show, like it sold out, like 5,000 people there and shit and stuff. He's like, I don't want to get up there with this dude. He's like, will you come here and sing these fucking songs with me? And I was like, yeah. So it's like I went, and then he's like, you're in the band. And he's like, and I'm like, okay.
Yep. And you guys played great together. I saw you guys when you were here. It was really, really fun. You guys vibe really, really well with one another.
Yeah, we both hate everybody, so it's like we get it.
Right? Get each other so that you can put on a great show. Now you guys have put out like 3 albums just since like last year, so that's what you guys were doing throughout the pandemic was making more music.
Yeah, I mean,
and then another one this year too. Yeah.
It's like I was planning on touring and shit like everybody that's gig worker, it's like trying to plan on to pay bills and shit. And like I just moved back here, like I just like got a place and all this shit, so I was flat broke, and I was heading up to Jersey. I was actually we were leaving for a tour, and I drove all the way from here to Jersey with the last bit of money I had. Just got up there. And was expecting to do a full tour, come back with money and shit. Get up there, we get in the bus, we're all traveling down the road, and that's when Live Nation cancels like all shows everywhere, like fucking for the COVID. And I was like, fuck. And then like, so I drive back here, like no money, no nothing, like fucking like, it's just like fucking like, here we go. And I thought like, maybe this will last like a month or something, It's like 2 years later, it's still fucking like sitting up.
And this is going to be your first show since 2019. That's so exciting.
Yeah, it's something. It's something.
So, okay, so you hate everybody. Let's talk about your childhood and growing up. You grew up here in Alabama. What was that like?
I mean, I guess, it was all right. I mean, fucking, it's like, I kind of went out on my own when I was 14, and like, I always wanted to go to California, so we, like, me and a buddy of mine hopped in a car, like, stole gas the whole way, and fucking got out there and fucked off, but then it was too expensive to survive without just fucking totally being a whore, so we were, like, fucking, like, so then we kind of went halfway back with, like, Arizona, and that was really cool, like, it was a good punk rock scene and stuff, and, like, a lot going on. We dicked around through Texas and stuff, like, Austin's real cool and shit. And I always end up back here because it's just so fucking cheap. It's like, it's so cheap.
What?
Like if you can't survive in, like, Alabama, then you can't survive nowhere. It's like, because it's like literally, like, you can have $5 and by the end of the day have a house. Because it's like, I mean, there's nothing, like, nothing costs nothing here. It's like, fucking, compared to anywhere else in the fucking world. It's like, this is the cheapest place on fucking earth.
Yep, I'm from Chicago, and I left, went back to Chicago, and came right back here too, because the same thing.
Yeah.
It's so cheap to live here, and the way you can live here is you can live well, not having to spend your money.
I could live in like LA or New York or something and have like a tiny little, you know, like smaller than this apartment and like you know, live on ramen. Or I could have like a nice house here with a yard and fucking dogs and fucking like nice shit everywhere, fucking a storage unit and fucking like, you know, music equipment and shit. Like fucking, it's like, so I mean, it's a no-brainer to me. And I'm never home anyway. I tour like 9 months out of the fucking year at least. So it's like normally when it's not like when you nasty motherfuckers, when you wash your hands, we don't all get sick. Then fucking like then I can tour, but like.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about inspiration for your song. So you've been on your own since you were like 14 and stuff. So a lot of course, it comes from your life and things like that.
Yeah, it's like I mean, I mean, 99.9999% of my shit is it's almost like trolling because it's like it's just trying to piss somebody off. Like if you live in Kansas, there's gonna be at least one song that'll piss you off. It's like there's something something's gonna punch that button.
They're gonna hit you with a retro abortion.
It's like something like you know, it's like, but you know that's how I deal with shit. Like usually in between the dick and fart jokes, it's like there's fucking like something of some substance, or at least I like to think so, and a few people think so. You know, it's like, but we usually hide the deep shit with a bunch of bullshit around it, because you know that's my nature, because I'm shy like. So I don't know. It's just all about, you know, fucking living. It's about fucking, you know, getting fucked up and like doing the shit and fucking not taking shit and just shit you think every day. It's like, I mean, I think everybody, like, you know, you get cut off in traffic. You know, you don't think, why, you need to learn how to drive. You think like, fuck you, go fucking die. We'll crash your fucking skull and fucking grab. You know, it's like that's what you think, and so like that's what we do.
That's road rage on an album.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. No, that's awesome. All right. Well, we've been doing this thing where we're like, if there's like five words, what would you want people to know about Cancerslug?
Jesus.
All right. Didn't know it'd be a test.
5 words. God damn. It'll take me like 10 words of like just to fucking make it out. Fucking see. I'm mildly schizophrenic, so I throw like in as a tick, and then all these fucking cunts have to point out every time in every single video how many times to say like. You know what? Like. Go fuck yourself. Okay. So Cancerslug in 5 words. Cancerslug is the greatest band.
Oh. There we go. Oh, awesome. Alex, thank you so much for being here. This has been really fun.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
I'm Salina Brilla. That's Matt Greene. And this is Alex Story, DIY Live. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.